Welcome to Rhyme and Reason. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're a podcast that we hope that we are able to inspire you as well as encourage you. Now, on today, I have a special guest. Her name is Zeeneitra. Her to introduce herself to you, the listeners. I'd like her to let you know who she is.
I am Zeeneitra Odom. I am 37 years old. I have a 13-year-old son. I am working on becoming a minister in the gospel. And I just enjoy putting God first, being with my son and family, and just growing closer to God.
Let's talk about chosen and what chosen means.
To me, chosen is just you being that special one to that for God to pull out of your circle, for you to just to be that special one that He leads in the right direction to change people's lives.
We know God is not going to lead us in a direction that is not for Him to fulfill His will. So to be chosen is to be set apart
Mm-hmm.
for a purpose. What gifts do you hold that would make you think that you're chosen?
The gifts that I hold is coming out of homosexuality, and being into sports like I am, to where the people that are living that lifestyle in that arena, even young kids as of today, are starting early. I will be able to try to pull them out and just be someone they can talk to, and hopefully give them my testimony so they will be led in the right direction.
Okay, with that was a mouthful. That was definitely a mouthful. So chosen for such a time as this, you do believe, or I do believe.
I believe it. I believe like right now, uh, I've been the chosen one, but it is more now than what it was before, because the generation we have now is a lot different than where I was when I was growing up.
When did you know that you were chosen, or did you run from it?
Oh, I ran for a hot minute. I ran for a while. Even being in the homosexuality lifestyle, I still ran, because then again, I thought I could do both at the same time, but it wasn't nothing like that. I couldn't do both. I had to choose, and I knew that I was chosen when it was years ago. A guy had came and sung at our church, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and I had told my dad he will end up getting a record deal. And the next time he came to our church, he ended up saying his testimony. So I had already knew that I was a chosen one, because not many people can sit here and let a prophecy come to them and they say it. So I knew right then that I was a chosen one.
Okay, so if you said that was a prophecy,
Mm-hmm.
but because you were able to prophesy that,
Mm-hmm.
is that what you think made you chosen, or you were chosen because of the gifts God put
I
in
was chosen because of the gifts God has gave me and what He has in store for me.
you?
Because
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure it's more that I haven't yet established yet or got to yet. So I'm still waiting on Him to lead me in that direction.
Okay. Now, was recently talking about crossroads. And crossroads, of course, is that point in time where a decision has to be made. No matter what, left or right, it's a dilemma. I got to make
Mm-hmm.
a choice. I have got to make a decision. What? When did you decide that you really was going to make that decision?
Ooh, I had to make the decision because I got tired. I got tired of things not going my way, losing things, losing an apartment over me and my child's head, losing a car, just everything was happening left and right that shouldn't have been happening. So I had already knew it's either continue to walk this path or just say yes to God and just give it all to Him, knowing that He was gonna fix what needed to be fixed.
With that being said, as far as God fixing what He needs to be fixed, a lot of times people say, "Well, my life is like this. I'm born like this. I got
Mm-hmm.
this. This is this." But would you say that was you, or not you, or that was just what your mind said at that time?
It it wasn't at the time. I could say it was what my mind was saying, but then again, when I finally sat back and once I finally got delivered from it, I can say that it wasn't nothing but a spirit. It wasn't nothing but a spirit that took over me to where I acted a certain way, I did certain things, and it's just something I would never want to do again.
You know, people don't actually believe that spirits exist at that level. But you can be pulled to stuff and drawn to
Mm-hmm.
stuff and be trying to pull away from it. But you really can't do it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how we try. We can try to finesse it and make it happen and do it on our own. We do have choices, but God has choices too
Mm-hmm.
for us. He just has to see that we want something different.
Right.
I know what it feels like to lose a lot. And the thing is, out of all the things that you lose, the physical things that you lose, the one thing you can't get back is the time that you lost. Whether it was the time with your family, whether it was the time on a job, whether it was time, no matter what it was, time is not anything that we can recapture, and nor
Right.
do we know when time will end.
Right.
You know, so yeah, when I'm looking at being chosen for a particular time in a particular season, there is so much going on when I look at it as far as in the atmosphere and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. But even in as much as that, the crossroad that you face,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm sure there was several different
Oh yeah.
kinds of crossroads. Would you elaborate or speak on it if you like?
I mean, I went through a lot of crossroads. With growing up, not necessarily my parents not being around. It was more of trying to fit in where I couldn't fit in, where I thought I had friends, but they really weren't your friends. They stabbed you in your back. Even in high school, not really fitting in with my own race like that. It was more I was more with white friends than I was with blacks. But I mean it's just like now I've hit a crossroad. I've done hit a crossroad to where either make the decision to stay in a marriage or get a divorce. And that was, I can say, the hardest crossroads I have hit. But I know that my decision wasn't upon just me. I know God had to help me with the decision. I just gave it to God and had to ask God, yes, I'm at a crossroad. I need the final answer. I know my answer, but it's not all about my answer. It's my answer and with God's help.
Right, because a lot of times our answers will be hopefully what is convenient for us.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I have found that we ask God, we pray and we ask God to deliver us from this, or help us with this, or what should my course be, and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And in the back of our mind, though, we have an idea of what we know what we want,
Mm-hmm.
right? And a
Right.
lot of times God will answer our prayers, and we feel in some kind of way because we're saying He's not answering them.
Mm-hmm.
But then, if you rethink what your prayer actually was, and
Right.
Him knowing your heart, then what He will do,
Mm-hmm.
what God will do, since He's all knowing, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily what we think would be best. Because I've got a couple of prayers I remember praying, and the Lord, and I mean really praying, where they were crossroads for me and different kind of things, and I needed God. I needed God to intervene.
Right.
But there's something when God intervenes and it's not like you expect. But it does not mean he doesn't answer.
Right, right.
Because, well, when you think about the plans God has for our lives, he only shows us bits and pieces. We may know that we are chosen, but he only shows us bits and pieces. I know why he only showed me bits and pieces, because you showed me all of it. I'm sorry. Hey. So it's just better for a sister like me.
Right. But I mean, it's also that, it's also like, even when God shows us bits and pieces, it for us, it's like he wants us to be patient, and sometimes we're impatient, and sometimes we want things right now in a hurry. And yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I wanted my answer the day I prayed, but I know I couldn't.
God is not a microwave God.
Right. I know I couldn't get my answer right then and there, because if he would have given me my answer right then and there, I wouldn't have been able to go through all the hurt, the pain. I wouldn't be able to sit here and help somebody else later down the road, because I got my answer quick, fast, and hurt.
I do believe everything is a process. Even from the time that we are born, and the experiences, they didn't turn bullying and stuff like that when I was growing up. It was a different name, and that's the terminology that they use. But I do believe that being chosen makes us feel ostracized at different points.
Right.
Because it's like a square and a round peg, and neither one of them will fit in the other one the way it needs to fit. So, for me, I always thought that I had to have been born like a couple of seconds too early, a couple of seconds too late. And It sounds far-fetched, but really what I mean, that's because you don't quite fit in. But he allows us to have the experiences in life.
Right.
That will grow us. And he also, he don't want no weak warriors.
No.
So, and everything is not a physical fight. We can go physical, but why go physical when God is a spiritual being, and so are we. So now, I still want to expound on these crossroads, because you didn't go in no great detail. So we're gonna circle back to it. Talk to me, because ultimately, you said things in general. You said generally, school and not fitting in, and not finding that place where it's okay to thrive, because it's judgment on this side and judgment on that side.
I can go ahead and elaborate a little bit. It's just like me being a preacher's daughter. Yeah, growing up, you have to hit a lot of crossroads, because it's like you got people looking at you a certain way, people sitting here saying, "Oh, well, you're a PK kid, like you shouldn't be doing XYZ." But at some point, you have to hit a crossroads to where it's like, well, I want to fit in, I want to drink, I want to go to the club, I want to just explore life, like pregnant. Yeah, people talk down on me about it. "Oh, you're a preacher's kid. How can you get pregnant?" But honestly, I can say my child changed my life. My child changed my life, because that was at a crossroad point for me, to where I had to step up and be an adult. I had to stop doing childish things, stop going out drinking, hanging out. Not necessarily stop hanging out with my friends, but just stop doing stuff that I know what was wrong, so I can be a mother. So when that crossroad came, yeah, I was scared. I was scared. I had my moments when I go hang out with some friends and then come back to the next day. My mom had my son. I had to hear it, because I wasn't being responsible. So I actually told myself, you gotta let go of the friends, the partying, the having fun, and being a mother. like you said before, I can't take back times of missing some of the things of him growing up, but now is more like, okay, I'm there for my son. I'll do anything for my son. But I mean, it's hard. Certain things are hard when it comes to a crossroad because you don't know where your faith lies. You don't know. You have faith, you believe in God, you trust God, but it's more of, do you really trust him like you say you trust him to get over this crossroads? Because at any given time, it's just like when I was in the homosexuality, it was one point I was ready to just give up, take my own life, not care about anything, because that's how much that spirit takes control of your mind. And it's like at some point you got to hit a crossroads. You have to sit here and be like, I can't be like this. It's more to life. God has more in life for you, for your process. And so all the crossroads that I have hit, I'm honestly, I'm thankful that I have came out on top with the strength, with more power than I did before.
Yeah, I can agree. That's a testimony to you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it really is, and God in you. You know, for me, the thing was, and the thing has been, there have been many, many crossroads.
Mm-hmm.
Much older than you. There have been many different kinds of crossroads that will weigh you down.
Mm-hmm.
And then the question really becomes, are you who you say you are? God, right. Are you who you say you are? Will you keep me in the midst of this? Will you strengthen me when that pain is that deep, when it's hurting at that level? When people around you see you, but they don't really understand, or they sit and they judge what they don't know. But one of the things I realized was in the midst of all of the pain and all of the crossroads, there will be these distractions. If I decided, okay, here we go, God, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. You know, or, you know, they got this thing where they say that the devil will take you where you don't want to go and try to make you feel bad after you get there, you come out. Well, oh yes, I can identify. I know what all of that looks like.
Right.
You know, I know what all of that feels like. You know, so when I'm talking, no matter who I'm talking to, I'm not sitting in a place of judgment.
Right.
Because one of the things that we all know is there go I by the grace of God. So what got you one way got me another way. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, you know, even with pregnancy and being a PK kid, the thing is, people look to put their mouth on something that they don't have the right to put their mouth on. And I say that because, you know, a lot of people were having sex and let's say it's five of y'all having sex and one person get jammed up. How they get jammed up? Because they get pregnant. How they get pregnant? Oh, we know how to get pregnant, but then it becomes to show. You know what I'm saying? The other ones are still doing it. They just didn't catch them.
Right.
At that rate. But there's even purpose in that. You know, God knows what it takes to move us. He knows what it takes to sustain us. And if you want to talk about love, a lot of stuff comes from not that there's love around us, that we don't feel worthy of the love that is around us, or whether the love around us is genuine. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we may be. But then again, that is a trick of the enemy.
Right.
Because we're fearfully and wonderfully made. We're made in God's hands. He knows what we're going to do, you know, ahead of time. So, can you speak on distractions?
I have had many distractions. Just like, I'm going to say, just like with school, I've always wanted to go back to school. Thought about it plenty of times, but when I get ready to do everything I want to do, something happens over here, you got to fix it. Something happens over here. it's always something. I can't even lie. Here recently, I stopped reading, praying. When I got to work, I just start watching something on my phone, and I knew that it wasn't nothing but a distraction because every morning before I get out the car, I pull out my iPad, I read a scripture, I get my mind ready to go in there. But here lately, for the past couple of weeks, I just been going into work, not really reading, not really praying, and so many things at work was happening. People working my nerve. I was just so uncomfortable, and but I knew what was going on, but I didn't want to sit here. I knew I was getting kind of convicted because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was worried about catching up on my shows instead of reading and praying and listening to preaching throughout the day before watching any shows. So when it comes to distractions, I don't like them, but I know it's part of the process.
The process may involve types of distractions, but some of them we are choosing, and some of them are not chosen by us, but then they come into our life, and that's what they end up being.
Right.
It's just like a call on your life or an assignment. You can have an assignment that is just you got the small ones. This is how I look at it. You got the small assignments that can be fixed in a day.
Yep.
Then you got the kind of assignments that you got to walk alongside somebody. Then you got the kind of assignments that there are no other people around. It is just you and then God, and be grateful for the conviction.
Yeah.
Grateful for the conviction. And it all has to do with discipline. I struggle a lot with discipline.
Right.
When I don't mean that I'm going out and doing something just crazy, but it's not lack of discipline, a type of disobedience. Because if we become more disciplined, then we're more focused.
Right.
The enemy's goal is for us not to be focused. So if we can be distracted by anything, whether it's our child's attitude, the person in the car in front of us, somebody want me to go do this and I don't really have time. When we take the time, when we don't really have the time, it's a matter of knowing what God is having us to do.
Right.
And when we are walking in our own flesh. Sometimes we pick up stuff we're not supposed to pick up.
Right.
And we make it ours and we carry it and all of that. I asked God, what was the word for me? Right? Last year. And the word was peace. And God had reminded me that He gave me my peace. He reminded me, He gave me my peace. So if anybody had it, and I didn't have peace, then I gave it to somebody else. Well, I allowed them to take it. So the only way I was going to have my peace is to get my peace back. So declare and decree that my peace is my own, given to me by God, and I'm not going to give away a gift that God has given me, right? So all it boils down to the same thing. Stay focused.
Right.
And the only way you can stay focused is to have a goal, know that it is a God ordained, and if you don't know if your goal is other than seeking Him, taking the time and writing it down so that you can actually see it and move toward it. Because we're going to have something going on in life. Life is a period in a series of distractions or obligations. Because you can't tell me you love me, not be there for me. Right. But you have to determine how often you can be there for everybody else. Because one of the things I know is at the end of the day, when I am no longer here, Zeeneitra and nobody else won't be standing beside me when I stand before God. Even if we leave at the same time. Right. You see, so when there's nobody there, you have to stand on your own and know it's God with you. You see what I'm saying? So I get it. And I think about the navigating of the crossroads and being chosen for his purpose and the distractions. I just think that it is more super intense
Mm-hmm.
the more he's going to expose you
Mm-hmm.
or me
Right.
and grow what he would have. Because in the process of all of the distractions,
Mm-hmm.
the purpose is to see your level of commitment.
Right.
And are you who you say you are? He
Mm-hmm.
knows. But a lot of it is so he can show us to
Right.
us.
Right. The navigation speaks for itself. Like, you can't. God has it. God has a GPS for you, anyways. Now, you can't beat. Yeah, we try. I ain't gonna lie, cause I be the main one try to beat that GPS time every time I go somewhere. But God, I sure do every time.
Okay.
It's his GPS. It's his timing, and I know for it is the way I want it to go. It's not gonna be that way. So it's a lot different when we doing our GPS and letting God lead us on this GPS, because it can get frustrated, aggravating, like you said. I mean, it can be distractions. You think you're going straight, the next thing you know, you hit a bump in the road, or you go left when you're supposed to keep straight. And I mean, it's just saying, you live and you learn through all the distractions, through all of the hurt, the pain, the aggravation, frustration. It's nothing but teaching you that no matter what the situation is, God still has you on the right GPS. You just can't sit here and get off track.
Well, first of all, since he knows the plans he has for us, he's not confused.
Right.
So we are confused.
Right.
A lot of times we need to pray for our mind. For our mind and the balance for our mind, because that's the first place the enemy is going to attack.
Right.
They attack your mind, and your heart is hurting. You know what I'm saying? Put a thought in your mind, and then you entertain that thought.
Right.
If you can not entertain the thought, it's much better. But a lot of times, and a perfect example would be if someone says 100 good things to you about who you are, what they know about you, what God's going to do in your life, and then there's one thing that somebody says is negative. Why is it that it just seems to erase all of everything that somebody has said?
I mean, you can put on the front all day long. We can put on the front all day long, but we know that, like you said, we say we're good, but we're really not good. But then again, we have to sit here and just ask God to take what is being said or the negative out of our mind, or just sit here and give it to God and be like, God, like, you change this around. Like, you changed what was said around, and you showed me different. And I think that's where most of us struggle, because you're always used to hearing a negative comment or a negative saying. And I know we're all not perfect. We're all not on our P's and Q's. We all make mistakes. But even with that one negative saying or comment, you still can't.
It has taken root. If it takes root, if you feed it long enough, it's going to take root. And definitely don't need that. But a lot of times, we just choose to act as if we haven't heard. And the thing is, the the 100 good and the one that was said bad, that one person goes on about their life. And yet you are focusing on what they have said. Our words have so much power. We put them out in the atmosphere and things like that. Well, Miss Odom, it has just been an honor to speak with you. I would ask for you to take a moment and think what you would like to say to our listeners, what you like their takeaway to be for this conversation.
you can get through whatever you got to get through the process and through the crossroads, and asking God to navigate you through what you're going through, not having to sit here and worry, stress, because once before we're all not perfect, but at the end of the day, like, you have to sit here and just be yourself. You be yourself, not try to fit in with everybody, not try to sit here and lower your standards for people, but just be you and put God first and trust in Him, believe in Him, and He'll get you through it.
That's an awesome takeaway that I want them to know too. I totally agree. I totally agree with everything that's been said. Actually, it's just been awesome. I appreciate you so much. Have a good one.
You too.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.